All right, I hit the button. We're live. We're here. This
Hey
is
yo,
thi-
bingo, bongo.
this is your three favorite nerds back
Space
again
people.
We're the
for
three best
another
friends that anyone could have.
The three best friends.
back again for another episode of Flippin' 10. I'm very excited for
24.
this one. But as always, I'm Jake.
I'm Sky.
And I'm Gabe.
And this is Flippin' 10.
Woo!
I just had a snake strike at the glass right as I said that.
Actually, I moved my setup so everything's different in here now because I had to rearrange the room, and I'm like eye to eye with a carpet python right here, and I'm waiting for him to smack the enclosure one good time.
Jake, you have, so
Dang, Papa
much
Keller's in
more,
the chat.
you have so much more room for activities now. Look
Oh,
at
dude, yeah,
So
it's
much room.
there's I wouldn't say so much room, but yeah, it was a good little switch up. It's not quite done. I gotta once I get casters for three more racks, I'm gonna change them around. But my thought process was I'm getting casters regardless. So I was like, if I switch them now, it's just gonna be way more of a pain in the ass to actually drag them across my carpet. And then I'll basically be doing it twice because I'll have to put them on casters anyways. So it'll be easier to just wait to get the casters than have it set up the way I want to. So, but yeah, it works. You can see some of my art on the walls behind me. Nice black
Sick.
box setup to my right here. So
Sick.
we're good. Of course,
Looks good.
my rat snake. You see that picture right there? I took that picture.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's my.
Oh, that is the yellow rat?
Yeah, it's
Nice.
my photography.
Nice.
Gabe, I actually took that picture at Caw.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, nature preserve, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
The boys are
Yeah,
popping in.
popping in. What's up, fellas?
What's up, fellas?
Benjamin Buttons, Chris Sanchez, Brandon Valentine, Keller, go fuck yourself. But we are here, episode, what is it, 24?
24.
Episode 24, Flippin' 10. Today we'll be joined by Mr. Connor Wardle. We're going to be talking coach whips, whip snakes, other masticophis, and we're super stoked. And he just popped on. So we're going to go ahead and get him on the chat, and then we'll go over some updates. What's up, Connor?
Nothing much. Nothing much. Just living life. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Good, man.
We're doing good.
The mustache is just glorious, man.
Thank you. I should have combed it, but it's my day off, so.
There you go. There you go.
Looks great. Looks great. Fantastic.
Good
Thank
stuff, man. So I messed up and did not work on our presentations for the night before I did this. So hopefully StreamYard doesn't fuck me. But we're gonna get there. So we do have some updates because we all actually found some snakes this week, which I am very excited to get into. But Sky, how about we start with your findings on some updates? I have the pictures. Just give me 1 second to get them up. And so why don't you give us a little background before I throw this in here? Where we at?
Okay. I finally put a weekend off of work to spend with my girlfriend. We went kayaking. She's been wanting to see the manatees in the springs by the house. So we went yakking down by the river, or in the river rather. And while we were cruising along the bank, I caught this out of the corner of my eye. I shit you not, dude. Obviously, you can tell right here, this is a vibrant red and black snake, but the patterning was so freaking symmetrical. I thought it was a fucking mud snake at first, right? So I
Oh
start
wow, that's zoom in and shame out way
shitting a
better.
brick. I'm like, oh my god, man, She's like, wow, what? I'm like, oh my, oh, they're thick ass water snake. But yeah, I mean, I was like, but then the current like coasted me right into it. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna take a video, and as I get to it, I'm gonna just grab it. And as soon as I got right to it, and my kayak touched the twigs, it hit the water. But
You
man,
sent
it
me
was
a
a really
video,
pretty
right?
banded water snake, man. Really pretty.
Was this a video?
I think I
Yes.
might have sent you the video.
This
Yeah.
is a video.
Yeah, but I was just coasting right in the kayak, and it zipped
Man,
on
that
me right
thing
at the last
is
second.
so red.
And I was like, dude,
Oh,
it was
smokes.
dry as heck too. So in the water when it was wet, that thing looked insane.
Yeah, that was. I could see how you could mistake that for a mud snake, that bright red and the way it didn't actually like come over into a full band. I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, like just like the first initial look. Once I actually looked at it, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, banded water. But
Dude,
and
I've seen them like that before road cruising and been like, oh God, it's a mud snake. It's a mud snake. And you get up close and it's like, oh.
Dude,
man.
without that one we found by Gabe's Sky when we were there for the herp trip, that was very, very much like that.
Yeah, very similar. And then that was just another banded. The bandeds were all just out chilling on the fallen logs on the river.
Yeah,
bank.
man. This time of year, with it just like getting nice and warm out, man, you hit a nice area of like flowing water. You'll see water snakes out the wazoo, out basking over the water. And it's so cool to like, I know obviously you want to grab them, but the way they position themselves over the water to where like if something comes up, the way they can just dip off in the blink of an eye and be gone is so cool to me.
Half a second.
No, Sky, that's a Florida banded water snake. The other one was a banded water snake, right?
Yeah, that one right there is the Florida banded. You can tell a little bit of a difference in the look.
Yeah, some of the speckling here on
it had a lot more speckling and everything on it.
I found my lifer with you guys at Daytona.
Hey.
Or not with you guys, but with the guys. Yeah.
Jack and P Daddy.
Yeah, they're so cool.
Got a little gator.
And then this was pretty cool. There was just that little guy chilling on the log. He let us get really close. I mean, we only got like 5-6 feet away from it before he dipped in. But right on the bank, a couple feet away, there's another banded water snake just chilling right there, freaking basking on the bank. So like all the reptiles were out chilling, man. It was awesome. It was like every 20, 30 yards, see another snake or turtle or gator or something. So it was a nice thing. It was nice to get out and finally see some herps and see some snakes and shit.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Was this like a guided kayak tour or was this just an area you guys hopped in?
No, it's just an area by the house. I'd just freaking go out. And
this is by your house?
Yeah, it's only 20 minutes from the house.
Bro, what's up, man?
That's awesome.
I tell people all the time, whenever y'all want to go kayaking, let me know, dude. I mean,
I want to go.
We can rent one for $40 if you don't have one. So
I can bring one. I think I have access. I don't own one, but I have access to one.
Jake, I've got 2. We're set.
Bring them down. We'll go hit the river.
I would say, Gabe, you need to come to South Florida with us in June, but somebody's going out of the country.
Yeah, I know. Listen, man. I can't pass that up to go to South Florida.
I know. I can't even tell what that is. I see
that was just like one of the super bright orange turtles that I saw. But he was just out basking, but we noticed him from across the river because he was bright orange. And we were like, let's see how close we could get to him, which obviously we didn't get very close. But you could just still tell how bright freaking orange, which this is near the spring. So like everything just looks awesome because the water's clear and high mineral and everything. So
nice.
Yeah. Ooh. And then that's a baby and a mama manatee. There's a tree down in the water and it had algae on it and they were just feeding on the log. And we kind of just posted up on a little tree right there and we were just watching them do their thing, chilling.
This is something I do really want to see one day is I've never seen manatees. And like, man, that's so freaking cool, man.
Yeah. Which obviously we didn't touch them, but you could see how close we got. They didn't even do anything but just come up for air, you can see, and then the baby comes across the mom's back and then comes up like no bullshit, so cool. 3 feet from the kayak and comes up from air. It's so cool.
For anybody listening or watching, touching manatees is illegal, so don't do that. Or am I wrong? Am I wrong in that?
No, you're 100% right. They're protected.
Do not touch them. That's so cool, dude. They just
Yeah, it was freaking awesome.
I wonder if some of the animals there are so used to seeing people that it just doesn't. Obviously, I know manatees don't really fear a whole lot of things because they're protected, and so they're not really scared of people. But like the alligator, for instance, if they're just used to seeing people kayak by, so it doesn't really bother them.
I mean, that was only like 50 yards from the boat ramp, so
Cool.
I guarantee you those things are used to humans.
Nice, man. Anything else?
No, just a good little first outing of the year. I'm waiting for we got a cold snap right now, so as soon as this cold snap's done, I will initiate night cruising, road cruising. So hopefully next EP I got some updates for that.
I'm gonna hide that for a second, even though I just gave it away. I'm gonna start.
You're always good at flashing everybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with our trip, how we started, and then we're gonna go with the ending. So for background, me, Smitty, Jack, and Gabe had a little herping endeavor because Jack was in town, so we got together and went and found some cool stuff. Gabe, I'll kind of let you take over if you'd like.
So we had some burn areas we wanted to walk. Springtime burn walking can be productive if you've got decent areas. And so I said, hey guys, we're all in town. Let's all get together and go do some herping. And my main target for that day was pygmy rattlesnakes because Smitty is up my butt about.
Yeah, we needed to get Smitty a pygmy.
Yes.
It was like
A live
priority
one.
Priority
live one.
Yeah, a live one.
This was try number 3 with Smitty for pygmies, telling him we're going to find a pygmy today. And the last 2 times, unfortunately, that did not happen. I swear I thought Smitty was cursed. But
I was going to say he was if we didn't find one on this trip.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because backstory, no, never mind. But yeah, go ahead.
I would have been like, yeah, you're cursed. You're not going to find pygmies. Yeah.
But we did.
Oh yeah, we were on this spot walking this burn all of what 10 minutes.
Dude, before we found the pygmy, 5. Like legit, we walked into the forest, walked, I don't know, 20 yards, and there it was.
I told Smitty, I'm like, all right, Smitty, stay next to me. We're gonna find one for you today. We're gonna make this happen. We're gonna get you your lifer pygmy.
Was that a baby or like a juvenile or what?
A subadult,
yeah.
But Smitty's literally walking along, and I'm walking next to him. I go, Smitty, look right there. He goes, what? And I was like, look right there. He's like, oh shit, there's a pygmy right there. I'm like, yeah, man. And
wake up.
Dude, I tell you, pygmies and those burns are ridiculous. Gabe, like, as just like the sense for it, because dude, they were like, it's right there, and I was like, where? They're like, right there. I'm like, still don't see it. Where is it at? And Gabe had to almost like take the end of his hook and point it out. I'm like, oh, there it is. Like they hide in these burns so freaking well, dude.
I mean, said that about the last one too.
Yeah,
they literally have the pattern to mimic sand, burned charred wood, and pine needles laid over. Like that is what that snake is mimicking. And
yeah,
even with a burn and everything cleared off on the underbrush, they still blend in so well. Like there's a reason why a lot of people have a hard time finding pygmies is because for one, they're small, but for two, they blend in, they camouflage so well.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, we had one find that was especially incredible, and I'm sure some of our friends know about it by now. But before I switch over to the picture, Gabe, why don't you paint us a picture of what was going on before I go to the next slide?
So we find this pygmy, right? We take some photos. We start moving forward. I walk through this little thick area that the fire didn't burn thoroughly. And I walk into this other section, and I'm walking, and Jake's like, hold on, I got to take a leak. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm just gonna walk and stop right on the other side of this, you know. And Jake's right behind me, peeing by a tree. And I just happen to look forward.
Well, hold on. Before you drop the dagger. So I don't know, probably 30 yards behind Gabe. And I see Gabe just kind of pause and is staring. And I'm like about to whip it out and take a piss. I'm like, what is he looking at? Because he just like froze. And I'm like, I don't know. Like he probably just scanning. So I go by a tree, you know, and I'm like, I'm literally about to piss. And all of a sudden, Gabe starts screaming.
I'm yelling, it's a Diamondback.
Just out of Diamondback, and like I start running. I didn't even pull up my pants. I'm running, trying to get my belt on and zip up my pants and the whole thing. And Gabe scoops this beautiful animal out before it could dip back down into its burrow.
That thing is so yellow.
And the weird part is like that's not a common color, you know, where we were. Most of the time you don't see that yellowish coloration is a lot more typical on barrier islands.
Okay.
So, you know, being on the mainland, you get a lot more of the browns and stuff. Like
really dark animals.
What stumped me is the fact that it was yellow. I stopped and I was like, what the hell is that vibrant yellow here? And I'm just like, because I mean, it was almost a shock and awe moment where you're just like, I can't believe what my eyes are seeing.
It's like you don't think it's real at first. Like
I still don't think it's real. I'm still in just pure, just
100%.
Yeah, I mean, just pure shock and awe.
Yeah,
insane.
I've still been like the whole thing just kind of feels like a fever dream because our first episode this year, I told everybody that like my main goal this year, anything else aside, was to find a Diamondback. And to have accomplished that in March 1st on the dot was incredible. Like I literally, after we all calmed down, I had to like turn around and walk away and like catch myself, wipe my face. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like tearing up here.
Me and Jake were jumping and hugging and high-fiving. I thought he was going to whip it out again and just. I mean, you know, Jake got better pictures than me because my hands were shaking so bad from the.
Dude, I had to calm down because I had to take pictures, and I know I take better pictures than all you fools.
Oh, for sure.
So I had to like try and calm down, get some good pictures. These are all with my phone, by the way. Some are slightly edited and cropped to get like the close-ups. Like this one is a crop picture. But man, some of these turned out so good, and I love iPhone for for taking semi-good quality pictures, even cropped and zoomed. Like this is zoomed in quite a bit. I was not that close to this animal. We were not taking any chances. We were very, very safe in this whole interaction. But my God, I mean, for me, this was the find of a lifetime, and this was literally my very first outing in 2025. I have not been out to look for snakes a single time in 2025 because weather's just been trash. This was the first time we all, you know, we all kind of researched, found a spot, and we all met up there. It was a bit of a drive for everybody. And the fact that we found a location and pulled this off was just incredible. Like,
I want y'all to know that after we got done with that, I was like, we've got to go find a cane break.
Yeah, get the
trifecta,
man.
I mean, I hurt so hard after that trying to find a cane break, and I couldn't make it happen. So I found a pygmy and a cane break on the same day, and I found a pygmy and a Diamondback on the same day, but I've never been able to complete the trio. And I thought we were going to do it that day, guys. I really did.
Dude, I didn't even care. After we found this, I was like, all right, well, I guess we can go home. Like, we can leave now, right? Like, it doesn't get any better than this.
Jake legit looks at me, and all week I've been saying to the guys, like, guys, the weather's going to be perfect this weekend. Conditions have lined up perfectly. Like, it's the right time of year. I'm like, if we're going to find one, it's going to be today. And Smitty and Jake are like, okay, well, you know, we're not going to get our hopes up. And I mean, I was getting my hopes up.
For the record, I was like, this is a great day for it, but I wasn't like sold because I have spent so many hours and miles hiking for these things, and they're so elusive, and it's such a luck of the draw type of scenario to find one. I was obviously hopeful because I'm always hopeful, you know, but I was not like, I was never once was like, today's the day. Like, we walked into this section, this took 20 minutes.
If that.
And we found this thing. And it was only 20 minutes because we spent 10 minutes photographing the pygmy. We found the pygmy in 5 minutes, spent 10 minutes photographing the pygmy, and then 5 minutes later, Gabe spotted this diamondback. And I mean, just a beautiful individual. It was about what, 2.5 foot long, 3 foot maybe?
I'd say about 2.5, maybe 3.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge individual, but it certainly wasn't a baby, obviously. But I mean, so vibrant, so yellow, so beautiful, so rare for our area. And, you know, this was besides Gabe, this was my, Justin, and Jack's lifer EDB. And to find such an incredibly beautiful individual was, you know, incredible. And like being able, because like I've seen EDBs in captivity and how they act, how they get worked, you know, whatever. But like seeing one and how it acted in the wild, this thing wanted nothing to do with us. It didn't want to hurt us. It just, like you see here, I feel kind of bad. I wanted that classic shot of it like essed up, like ready to like fuck your world, but it wouldn't do it. It literally stuck out its tail to rattle, and then it hit its head. It stayed like this for so long. And like it would not S up, it would not get in that striking position. It just like wanted to hide, and it wanted to protect itself. And it was such an incredible interaction of like she just wanted to protect herself, you know, like nothing else mattered. Of like, and the amount of times it tried to get away from us and go back into its little hole that Gabe saw her in. It was incredible. Like, these animals want nothing to do with us, and it's just it blows my mind how people think they're so evil.
Dude, I've worked with plenty of captive diamondbacks, and I've worked with a lot of wild diamondbacks. I've only found 2 myself, but I've worked with some other wild ones and stuff, and been around some that other people have found. And I've never seen a wild diamondback. Well, I won't say never. Most of the time, wild diamondbacks don't even rattle. They just stay hidden. The only diamondback I've ever had rattle on me was that one I found last year in Georgia, that was literally sitting outside of a birthing den with babies sitting out there with her. And that's just because she had just given birth to a bunch of babies and was like, hey, you need to back off. And it was the only time I've ever been buzzed by one. They just want to be left alone. They want to hide. They're very hesitant to strike in the wild.
She definitely buzzed us a little bit here, but I think it was justifiable, you know, but she was never went on the defense. Like, she was always like,
I mean, she tucked her head down pretty much the whole time.
The whole time, dude. Like, I think as soon as like we put her out in the open, she S-ed up for a second, then like almost immediately put those coils around her head and was like, nope, bye. Like, it was freaking nuts, man. I don't know how else to put it.
It was a magical moment.
It was very much a magical moment, and one that I will remember forever. This was my favorite find of all time, probably, in a day that I will surely never forget.
I'm so happy that you guys were there to experience that with me. I mean,
Yes.
just having friends there to revel in the joy of such a magnificent find is, I mean, it's immaculate. You just can't beat it.
Yeah. It was truly incredible. And I don't know what else to say about it, man. I mean, legit, like one of the best moments of my entire life. And, you know, Herpers will understand.
I'm jealous
But-
of you fucks.
Yeah, no, that was
Scott, if you lived in South Carolina, man, we can make this happen. It might
Yeah.
take 20 years, but we can do it again.
We'll see.
Y'all just got to come to Texas.
That's right. We just got to go.
very much so. Very much so. We do
The
need
desert
to go
sounds better. Yeah.
Bolivar Speckled Kings, Jake.
Hey, man. Hey. Don't get me started because I'll do it. I will do it. But speaking of that and Texas, Connor, welcome to Flippin' 10, buddy. We're glad to have you. If you have not been living under a rock for the last, I don't know how long, you probably know who Connor Wardle is. He is the Masticophis King. And we are here to talk some Masticophis. I feel like everybody's kind of focused on your captive keeping of them, which is very notable. You've done an incredible job. You're probably the leader of keeping Masticophis, in the country. And we respect you severely for that. But today we definitely want to focus on more of the field aspect of that. And even though we know they are not necessarily easy snakes to find, we think that, between your time in the field looking for them and your captive keeping experience, you can definitely give us some insight on some of their behaviors and whatnots going forward with them. So with that, Connor, welcome to Flippin' 10, man.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Happy to have you. To kick it off, I know you've been on several episodes or several shows, but you want to kind of start with some background on yourself and how you got into, instead of getting into snakes, what came first, field herping or captive keeping, and kind of what got you into field herping?
Yeah. I don't know if I would call it herping, but I guess, going out catching the Gulf Coast toads in my backyard. My dad's got like a picture of me as like a 3-year-old like this, with a big old Gulf Coast toad just peeing in my hand. A lot of fun there. And then I guess the first memory of snakes, I guess growing up, was my dad and mom were in this like Sunday school group, and they were having like a beach or pool party at one of the houses. And, me and the kids were just walking around outside with nothing to do, really. So I just rustled through the bushes going after a Knowles, but I grabbed a rough green snake. And that was pretty cool. Tried to, the mouth gape that they do, and a little bit of a lunging, and I dropped it, and freaked out and ran away, But I guess that was my first kind of intro to that. I didn't really know what herping was, or reptile keeping, really. Primarily got into, I guess, reptiles in general through scouting, Boy Scouts. I'm an Eagle Scout, I'm very proud of that. I spent several summers out at a Boy Scout camp called Worth Ranch out in Palo Pinto County, about an hour and a half west of me here in Fort Worth. And served on staff out there, became the nature director, and was just always involved in some facet of the nature team out there. We would do little educational shows for the scout troops that came through and kind of relocating snakes throughout camp. Actually seen quite a number of Texas coral snakes out there.
Nice.
For whatever reason, there's there's like 1 or 2 scientific records out there, and I've got a frozen one that passed a couple years ago that I got to submit to UTA. But that's going to be the third, official record, which is cool.
That's awesome.
But yeah, no, I mean, I caught my first coach whip out there, which I just kind of chased it down, and it regurgitated a live Western Diamondback rattlesnake it had just eaten. Which
what?
Yeah, no, it was like a small little baby rattlesnake that had just, it was a late summer birth or something like that, which was cool.
Wait, you said live. The rattlesnake wasn't alive still, was it?
No, the rattlesnake was live. It was beaten up pretty severely, and bleeding. But it had like just eaten the rattlesnake and was basking or something. And then I came across it, grabbed it, and it spit out, an H-Rox that was probably about, 7-8 inches long. Which was
wow.
That really freaked me out. That was the first time that I ever thought, the coach whips were, similar to king snakes, immune to that kind of stuff. And, just kind of pushed my passion for them too. Even more, just another quick little tidbit about them, I guess,
Yeah, I've always kind of, there's not a lot of record of them being, Ophiophagus, but it makes complete sense to me, being the type of snakes that they are, how they act like that. It doesn't surprise me one bit that they would be. I know some people have talked about it. I'm not saying this is brand new information, but there's not like a lot of records of that. And the fact that the first one you ever caught, regurged one that was still alive, like that's
got the fucking twofer of a lifetime, man.
Was, pretty insane. Yeah, that was 2017. So that's the first time that I got hands on a wild caught, coach whip that I had collected. I had worked with them a little bit before that, on the captive side. But just, seeing them in hand and what they can do was really incredible. And I mean, really, they're a generalist. They'll overpower anything they can eat. I found that on both the captive and just seeing stuff in the wild.
Yeah,
which is pretty crazy.
On that note, what kind of? I know this is a field learning podcast, but still, I like to ask what kind of drove you to keep them? Like, what fascinated you about them to start working with them? Because these are not common snakes in captivity. So, what kind of made you want to dive down that rabbit hole?
It's just, just seeing what they can do in the wild, just watching them zip through everything was really cool. And that they, we would catch the snakes out at camp. And then if we didn't have an example of that in the nature center, we would put them in a cage in the nature center for the summer, take care of them and release them later, and, the 2 coach whips that we had at the nature center, they did well. They did fine. One of them actually tamed down pretty decently. And there's a picture I can share later with a real crappy, unseasoned mustache, chilling with a coach whip in my hand, and just hearing everybody say, "Oh, it's insane that you're just holding it like that, because they're gonna whip you in the face or come at you and bite you or whatever." And I'm like, well, if you just kind of hold them this way, they're gonna respect their movements and stuff, open palm, whatever. They really calm down pretty well, and so I just wanted to try from that front. All I've heard about them in captivity was negative. There's a Reptile Magazine's article that I first read about them, as far as the captive side, saying that they should not be kept in captivity. They're too stressed, whatever, And if you provide the proper caging, overhead lighting, things like that, which you can hear about me talk about in other podcasts or my Instagram or whatever, they really aren't terrible. The Westerns and Easterns get pretty big. So I've got a pair of Easterns now, but I've kind of tried to focus more on like the whip snakes. So your southwestern U.S. and South Texas species, they're a little bit smaller and more manageable for what I'm doing right now. But they're wonderful snakes.
And I will preface this by saying, if anybody listening is looking for more of the captive keeping side of Masticophis, Coach Wood snakes, Definitely check out some episodes that Connor's done. I think we had him on THP, and I believe you did a semi-recent episode with Colubert and Clubroid.
Yep, and then Project Herpeticulture, I did one as well.
Yeah. So definitely check out any of those. Hell, listen to all of them. I'm sure everybody covers different parts. So definitely check those out if you're interested in the captive side of things. Today we're going to be more focusing on, obviously field herping side of them, but definitely wanted to cover, how you kind of got into those. Really interesting, man. They're such a niche, genus, such a specific subspecies, and that seems to be your cup of tea, man. Is that stuff that kind of doesn't fit the mold of the regular keeper, man, and I love it.
Donnie, your night snakes.
Yeah.
Dude,
Make me envious. Those things are so cool.
Yeah, they're great. I've got 2 species of those, the deserts and the San Diegos. I sent my Texas night snakes out to a buddy in Florida. But, yeah, no, they're great. They're great. Hopefully I'll produce those, but, yeah.
Cool. Well, let's get down to the basics of field herping in general. What outside of your basics like water, snake hook, and stuff, is there anything out of the norm that you bring on a field herping trip? Anything specific that you can share with people?
Yeah, so I guess for here in Texas in particular, you got to have a Texas hunting license, and then there's a non-game collection permit there as well. Even if you're not collecting, if you're messing with reptiles at all, I haven't been stopped by a game warden, but it's required.
Oh,
so you got a CYA there.
So that's just to handle reptiles at all in the wild. You need the collection permit.
The people that I've heard that do get stopped, they're always getting checked for pillowcases and stuff like that. So most game wardens don't really care. But if you're in, I guess, near national parks or wildlife areas, they're going to be more on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay. But personally, I haven't ran into that. So that's just me kind of doing some CYA there.
Yeah. PSA, you should probably, it's one of those rather have it, not need it, than need it, not have it.
Yeah. Do things legally. And
absolutely.
Yeah. Additionally, Boy Scouts, I carry Leatherman, like a little multi-tool, and a first aid kit, as well as some thick leather gloves. Just for, flipping whatever crap I come across. I don't really have spots, flip spots or whatever. I still just kind of check out Google Maps and just kind of go from there on the satellite images. I know you said snake hooks are, the basic whatever, but there's this guy, Aaron Steele, one of my buddies in Waco, and he makes these really strong, titanium core snake hooks that have a kind of a unique hook shape, which I should have had it right here to show you guys, but basically you can kind of just you can flip anything with it. If it's a big log, or a big heavy, plywood board or something like that, they're stronger and less, bendy compared to other snake hooks, which I like personally.
Where would somebody go if they're interested in what it said snake hooks?
Yeah, so Aaron Steele, you can look him up on Facebook. It's AARON, Aaron, and then Steele with an E at the end there. I'll shoot you guys his personal Facebook there, but just shoot him a message. Say, hey, Connor said you make good snake hooks. I'm interested in one, and I'm sure he can mail it to you, no problem.
Does he make a stump ripper?
I'm sure he can do it. He's a pretty good metalsmith. He's kind of a dude of all trades. He can do all sorts of good stuff. So. Yeah, so as far as my herp kit, that's usually it. I might carry a field guide if I'm in a new area, but I'm pretty familiar with all the native herps in my area, outside of a few handful of amphibians that I'm just not well versed in, I guess.
Same, brother.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you do pretty much all of your herping in Texas, correct?
For the most part. I have herped in western North Carolina in the Appalachians. I kind of on the kayaking thing there. I've been a whitewater kayaker the last 13 years now. Started related to herping with that. But so I've hit that area, and I try and do 1 to 2 days every day that every year that we're out there. Excuse me. And then I went and herped Borrego Springs in the San Diego area, Southern California. My sister, she's a college student out there, so we'll go out there for a family week or whenever I can get away from work. But that was insane. And then of course I've most recently been to South Texas, but herp as much as I can in Central Texas. But I don't know where you're gonna touch on it first.
Yeah, you're in the Fort Worth area, you said?
Yeah, Fort Worth. So DFW Metroplex, Dallas for those out of state, I guess.
Yeah, I went to Dallas, Fort Worth area one time because I lived in South Texas for a little while. I went to the NARBC show.
Yeah.
Out there. Yeah, I went there one time back in 2016, I think.
The fall ones are great. You meet all the big, like the Casey Lysak, Trump Bauer, all sorts of.
Yeah, I'm sure I saw some of those guys, but this was like way back when I really wasn't in the scene. It was about a year before I really got into herpetoculture.
Mm-hmm.
But I really didn't know anybody. I did get to meet God, his actual name is escaping me, but Python in a Pear Tree. Well, I can't remember his name. Oh my gosh. Pretty sure we did an episode with him. But yeah, awesome guy. That's a great show, man. It's very clean, which was different coming from somebody who was used to Columbia Repticon. Have you ever been to Houston Repticon, Connor?
I've been to the Conroe one, which is like one of the bigger. It's the herps ones that are like the venomous shows.
Yeah. Not quite. It's like, dude, I'm sorry. I don't mean to throw Repticon under the bus, but I'm gonna. Any Columbia Repticon and Houston Repticon were the two nastiest shows I've ever been to. And I went to this NARBC show in Dallas, and it was like carpeted floors. Everything was well lit. Everything just looked pretty. And like, it was so nice compared to what I was used to. But that's side tangent. Cool, man. Anything else in the bag you can give us, or is that about
it? Basically, I mean, so a lot of my stuff is wild caught. So there are times, where I have to go out and, try and get I'm big on locality. So if I can get an opportunity to get a locality animal, I will. I don't get adults, try and get stuff that's younger, not a breedable impact, for the group. I'm not going to say that I don't collect because, I do.
Yeah.
Selectively. But that's just, that's basically it,
Yeah, and I do want to preface: we're not going to judge for field collecting for locality purposes as long as it's done ethically. We will preface that, and of course, Connor, you're one of those people that do. I am also one of those people. Don't collect excessively, and don't collect willy-nilly. Have a purpose, have a reason. Collect minimal animals if you're going to do it, because there is a time and a place to collect, but do it ethically, do it responsibly, do it legally.
Yep.
Emphasis on that, which Connor, I know you do. This is more so for the audience.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, this is awesome. So I guess kind of go ahead.
I got one. Do you collect a lot of the lizards and stuff too to like help feed a lot of the wild caught stuff, or is it easier to transfer over once you get it in captivity for food wise?
So most of the animals I have will take frozen thawed browner knolls just fine. And so along the collection lines, I've got a buddy in Florida. He collects only invasives. And I get browner knolls for like 50 cents to $1 each, depending on size. And I just get like 200 at a time. There are some more picky animals that I have. Then I've got one of my mentors. got out of breeding Alterna, the gray banded kings, about a year and a half to 2 years ago. And he always had a good collection of like the common tree lizards and the side blotch lizards in his freezer. So he gave me all that whenever he got out, and I'll take some of that. I've got some that are whole. I've got some that are like a lizard pate. I'm sure people will hate that, but just a little dab, on the feeder or whatever I'm using. That works just fine. With Masticopus in particular, they're big, like, visual, and Colubra as well, big visual hunters. So, tease feeding, where you're shaking stuff around, that works pretty great too. I've got a video up on Instagram about that. But yeah, so I don't really do a whole lot of collecting lizards, I guess, now for that. The lizards that I do have are they're fun. I've got some Coleonyx stuff and a Gila monster. That's just a cool pet. So
You still have the crocodile skinks, don't you?
I never had those.
You didn't? Who am I thinking of then? Not crocodile skinks. Yeah, alligator lizards. God.
Oh no.
Yeah,
no.
I'm an idiot. Sorry.
No, those are wonderful lizards. I had one come in from somebody that I will not do business with again. Basically, it was loaded with lizard mites, and I just I went a little overboard with my treatment for that stuff, and unfortunately lost them. So I'm only going captive bred with those because now I've got a few trusted friends that I know locally, But those are one of my favorite lizards, especially here in Texas. They're insane.
Yeah. I mean, dude, those I am not a lizard keeper at all, but my God, any of the pictures I've seen you post of those, they are so freaking cool, man.
One of my buddies, he works at a wildlife refuge down in more central Texas. He's this herp society I'm a part of, but he found one and it was near a dinosaur track, so he photographed it in the dinosaur track.
That's
It's been like going viral all over like Texas Monthly and stuff like that. So I'll have to send it to you guys, but it's super rad.
Yeah.
All right, Connor, I just have to ask, and I know it's a little off topic. I fossil hunt, and I love to fossil hunt.
Okay.
You guys have some great dinosaur fossil areas, correct?
Yeah. There's like a mammoth cave or something like that down in Waco. We've got a whole sorts of natural caverns that you can go check out. And then I know College Station, there's this dude on TikTok that kind of blew up, where there's just a lot of limestone, all over Texas. And you can find a lot of cool stuff there. And Dinosaur Valley State Park, there's fossilized dinosaur tracks as you walk through the river.
That's
you can see it. It's super rad.
I need to get out west to Texas, man. I mean, like, it's everything all in one. Oh, that's fantastic. So I have a question about the Masticopus, about the coach whips.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the pink Masticopus. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. I'm
curious to know, is it the color change? Is it happening as a gradients with the soil color in the area, or is it an elevation thing? Is it yeah.
They from what I can tell with the Western coach whips in particular, if we're talking about those, because there's
the
tans and there's the pink and reds. I do believe it's more the color of the dirt and the rocks out there. When they hatch out, they're all tan.
Really?
They develop that over time. Which is
they
cool.
go through an ontogenetic color change.
Yeah. You never really know exactly what you're going to get, whether they're banded too. I mean, in my area, you'll find some with red heads and some that are like brown and gold, like kind of banding, which is really neat.
Yeah.
But they're pretty within their patterning and stuff. They're pretty variable, but I would say for the most part, it's based off the rocks and soil for that patterning there. And, white, at least transitioning from from the wild to captive, like a photo period does influence that kind of boldness of their coloration or brightness, you could say.
Really?
Which is cool.
That's awesome. I was just curious about it because I know, like with speckled rattlesnakes, for instance, a lot of times those color phases are happening, same thing as the color soil changes in the different regions,
Right.
that's when you're seeing those different color phases of those speckled rattlesnakes. So I was curious
Yeah.
if it's the same thing with the coach whips.
But I mean, even then, they're still going to be variable within their area. I'm trying to put together this book, showing about different phenotypes from different parts of different ranges of every species of Mascophis. And I mean, out in West Texas, we came across tans, we came across pinks, we came across a red that was really cool. I mean, you guys in Florida, I guess like the Panhandle, you can find the black and white Eastern coach whips. You can find the more like brown, muddier. I think they're all pretty,
Yeah, dude. I'm sorry. I will interject for a second. There's no such thing as an ugly coach whip.
Yeah.
Like I love the black and tan ones. That's like a personal thing to being like an Eastern type of guy.
Yeah.
But like that, an ugly coach whip does not exist. I'm sorry. I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah, no worries. And then there's a lot of, like, especially in West Texas, you get a lot of integration as well. There's in like the El Paso area, you'll find there's a species called the lined coach whip, which looks like a tan coach whip or Western coach whip. It's got these faint, like ventral, along their scales, these like little black kind of specks that kind of make this line. They'll have a yellow cheek and like a pink underbelly. So you'll see some Westerns crossbreeding with those, I guess, too. And then you'll get more of like a, I don't know, like a red phase with that black kind of lining along the back, which is interesting and cool. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with that, but there's a lot of mingling,
Yeah, no, I definitely, talking about the different color phases is great. I feel like the pink ones are super popular. So if you can kind of give a range from where you see pink to tan to like the kind of different color ranges, do you see more pinks out west or northern Texas, or like where are you seeing more pink?
So the pinks, I mean, obviously Trans-Pecos, Texas region there, that little triangle portion of Texas. They will range up into the Panhandle. There's some beautiful pink coach whips in like the Pueblo, Colorado area. Now in Colorado, of course, you can't mess with them there. But yeah, up until I would say, I don't know, like not like West New Mexico, not Central New Mexico, but kind of in the middle there. They transition into your Sonoran coach whips, which is a different species, and they'll go up into Colorado, like I said. And but once you hit, I'm not good with like cities in Texas, because it's such a big state,
That's why I said like west, east.
Yeah,
south,
the eastern portion of the Trans-Pecos, from there to basically where I'm at, they're going to be either gold or tan throughout that whole region. And then you'll integrate in my area. You see integrations with the eastern coach whips.
Okay. So where does the eastern coach whip line kind of lay? Like where do they?
Yeah, I would say just kind of basically Dallas.
Okay.
As far as Texas is concerned, going down, you'll find them in Galveston. You also see Westerns kind of hybridaze there as well.
Yeah.
Just kind of going almost straight down that portion of Texas where it kind of exits the more forest and kind of goes to more like rolling plains. Is where you'll see the Westerns and the rolling Great Plains region of Texas there.
Awesome.
So when you collect for the localities, right? Do you ever worry about getting an integrate and not a pure Western coach whip versus Eastern, or do you just go, all right, this is the locality? I'm just curious because I know some people will actually like send off sheds for like genetic testing.
Yeah. Well, on that note of genetic testing, nobody's really sending in Mascophis, colloidal, anything, which would be good to get a baseline. This is a pure this is a pure that. That'd be great if people would start doing that.
Y'all heard it. Start doing genetic tests on Masticophis.
Yeah. The all 6 of you that keep Masticophis.
I'll get me, Ryu, and Courtney on that. That'd be great.
Oh my god.
I basically just shoot on locality.
Okay.
For the most part there. Now, a few years ago, It was 2021. No, it was 2020. Sorry. Fall of 2020. Scrolling through a Snake ID group. This albino pops up from Ellis County.
I remember you sending me that.
Yeah. And I ended up, getting connected with the guy, kept it. Technically, that's an integration zone. That's an hour south of me. Raised it up for a few years, and then I sent it to Ryu Lugosi, who Blackstone Exotics is her formal reptile page. Definitely recommend checking her out. But she's actually pairing that to a red this year and had some, there's a courtship happening and stuff, which is great. But I'm calling that one a Western just because I want it to be a Western, but it could be, an integrate there. But I mean, really, there's not a whole lot of information on even as far as scale counts and stuff like that. I've got a book by the University of Michigan. It's this navy blue book that says like Mascophus and Coluber, and basically there's range maps from like the 30s on these species. Some species have been debunked by now. I think there's like 13 or something total subspecies of Mascophus. But anyway, it's just been a resource for me, and I need to dig more into it, to 100% say whether or not that one's a Western. But for now, it's a Western.
But like, I do think like when it got, again, we're getting into the captive side a little bit, but as somebody who keeps rat snakes, there's a lot of integrate zones in those areas, and
like your greenish,
huh?
Like your greenish?
No, not like my greenish, like the pink one I showed you. We're not even gonna get in on greenish. No. Don't make me get mad. So, but like I have one, it's a Lake City animal, and when Gabe visited me, I was like, I'm about to show you the prettiest rat snake you've ever seen in your life. He's like, yeah, okay. And then I picked up the hide. He goes, yeah, that's the prettiest rat snake I've ever seen in my life. It's my animal it's pink and it's got a yellow sock on its head. And when I say pink, it is literally pink. And
Jake tells me this thing's bubblegum pink, and I'm like, bullshit. And Jake's like, no, when you come over, I'll show it to you. And I'm like, it's going to be some like dingy ass, like barely pink. And he pulls the hide up, and I'm like, no, that's fucking gorgeous. I think I said to him, if you ever want to get rid of that.
Yeah. I've had a lot of people tell me that, and no. But it's in that integrate zone of yellow and gray. And granted, some of those animals can be very drab. Not very pretty either way, one or the other. This one happened to be, it's a wild caught animal. This one happened to be just incredible. But that goes to say, like, when you're dealing with localities, to me, I guess obviously if you're in an integrate zone and you're dealing with localities, you want one that more so displays the current animal you may have. But at the same time, especially if you get down to like the city, like getting down to the city, even if it's not exactly the same, if you can find one from that city, it's going to be the most accurate representation of what you produce. Granted, from there, you can pick the best animals and whatnot. But, with the locality stuff, localities don't care what the other one looks like. They find a male or a female that's receptive, and bada bing, bada boom, they make babies. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to like locality stuff, like with, Mascophus, it's more so like find one from as close as you can. As long as it's the opposite sex, roll with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit harder in Texas because some of those counties are massive.
Big as states.
Yeah,
literally.
Like I was talking to the Pain Shab about Brewster County because I have a couple of different animals from Brewster County, and I was like, oh, do you have this and that from Brewster? And he's like, dude, you realize how big Brewster County is? He was like, you can find stuff in one part of the county that does not exist in the other part of the county. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when it comes to stuff like that, city almost comes into a play with collecting localities because counties can be so freaking big, man.
They really can. I think about that all the time. Anytime, like you've said, like your Pasco or Hernando stuff, it's like
Hernando's very big.
yeah, Pasco and Hernando are both fucking huge. So it's like
Yeah,
that's a 45-minute to an hour drive across that motherfucker. You're gonna tell me that? Like,
yeah. That's why if I'm collecting localities, I'll pretty much drive the same road until I have a pair, so I can be like, they came from the same road. Like these are about as locality as it gets. But you know, for me, the county is the minimum, city is preferred, road is gold status. You know, but
Or same gas station parking lot.
that actually happened. But you know, before we get too off track, Connor, talk about some habits of these animals. You know, as far as like if people want to herp for these, you know, and you can even go from obviously you're probably going to talk more from a Texas standpoint, but in general, time of year, time of day, habits, stuff like that. You know, kind of pop off.
So from my time in the field, I haven't found that they're more active at like this particular raindrop total to this humidity or pressure or whatever there. So it's not going to be that specific. Sorry.
We don't expect
that. Anyway, obviously they're a diurnal snake. They've got these massive eyes, kind of consider them like the raptors of the colubrids in the U.S. So obviously daytime hunters. Find them a lot in like kind of like scrub edge habitat, if that makes sense. There's a photo that I sent you, Jake, that kind of represents it a little bit. The coach whip that I have in hand, it's the tan one, but it's out in West Texas, just along like a fence line, and there's all this kind of like shrubbery growing up along that fence line. There's also your railroad ties, and there's some boards out there too, just from construction and stuff. But finding some habitat kind of like that in Central Texas.
I would show this picture, but I don't see a coach whip you have in hand.
Okay.
It may not have.
Well, anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right. No, it's good. It's good. But just some sort of. I mean, they're going to be out periscoping in fields or just open land, looking for lizards, birds, bugs, literally whatever they can overpower. But they're going to want to be in some area where they can get back to safety pretty quick. In Central Texas, especially Palo Pinto, where I've got the most experience with them, I'm literally just hiking around out in these big grass fields, and I see it zip off in either a hole or up in one of like a cedar tree. The best, if you're trying to get hands on one, I will say the best thing you can do is get out there before the sun's up and just flip in that kind of edge habitat there. You want to get them before they warm up. That way you can, get a chance of getting a hand on one. If they're out in the open during the heat of the day, most likely if it's just you're not going to be able to run them down.
Yeah.
I just assume you were speedy like the Flash, Connor. I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of sprinting and like full body lunge leaping.
Dude.
And
he uses his mustache like a fucking throttle on a hill.
Yeah.
Fucking chasing them down.
No, definitely flipping them. Your whip snakes, like what I keep here, the striped whip snakes and the Central Texas whip snakes. I've actually heard of those sleeping in like rock crevices, like along cuts at night, which is cool. One of my friends sent me a photo, which I don't have ready, I'm sorry, but of just like a pair of Central Texas whip snakes, just like eye level at a rock cut, and he just reached his hand and pulled them out, and that was that,
So how big are the whip? So I know nothing about whip snakes other than the fact that they're masticophus.
Yeah.
What's the adult size on those guys like?
So it kind of depends on the species. Your striped whip snakes, Sonoran whip snakes, those are what I have the most experience with, and those tend to be a little bit longer. They're all about like the width of your thumb.
Okay.
They can get about 5 foot, 5 maybe 6 foot in length there, but they're really thin. Your flagellum, your coach whips there, those tend to be thicker, heavier bodied.
Yeah.
And of course, 6 foot is not unheard of for coach whips there, even upwards of that.
Someone out here found a just over 7 foot coach whip last year.
That's
it was a unit. I'm sad I missed out. I think I had the flu.
That's a dude.
And my friend goes, Coach whip bites hurt.
They do. Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, how big was it? And he goes, 7 foot 1 inch. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah. I will say when you do get a hand on a coach whip, you want to have a hand like at least the upper third of the body there. So that way, I mean, they can whip around and stuff, but they're not going to get you in the face. Because if I've had a few, you grab them by their tail, they just jump back at you, and they're just trying to tell you to let go of them. Nothing.
Yeah.
They're not venomous or anything like that, so there's nothing there. But yeah, so that's as far as their size is concerned there. We saw out in West Texas, a Central Texas whip about 100 yards ahead of me, just full body sprint. Obviously missed it in a mesquite pile or kind of grove, you can call it, I guess. But on the same stretch of road out in Alpine, there was several just giant piles of like discarded old railroad ties. And we flipped before that, we were cruising for 16 hours, me and Aaron, the snake hook guy. We were out in Black Gap and hit Boy Scout Road, and we came back to Alpine, which is a pretty massive haul for one night.
It's huge.
But yeah, just coming up, right when the sun was coming up, we were cruising this old road, flipping logs just to see, and we pulled out 2 red-faced coach whips, which was insane.
Nice.
So much fun. And I was the same kind of thing with your Eastern Diamondback, literally just shaking there like this, holding the snake.
Oh yeah, you're all.
Yeah, I mean, it can bite me, whatever. I get the biggest smile on my face ever. It was so much fun.
What you're saying is your mustache is touching your ears.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you say, early morning flipping for Masticophis is the way to go if you want to flip them.
Right.
What time of year is that best for, and what, early morning, is that 8 to 10 a.m. or like 7 to 9 a.m. type of deal? Because I know that does make
I'd say just pretty much 30 minutes after, like as soon as you start seeing light, 30 minutes after that is when
we're talking like possibly like 7 o'clock in the morning. Like,
yeah, I mean, you can find them pretty much any time of year, at least here in Central Texas, especially there's Shots whip snakes and Ruthven's whips. And in towards the end of December, I flipped, or me and the group I was with flipped a Ruthven's whip deep in shed, but it was cool. I didn't expect to find one that late in the year, but at least where I'm at here in Texas, especially South Texas, where it stays pretty mild weathered, most times of the year you can flip them.
Does that go for all Masticophis or just whip snakes?
Just what I have experience with. So in Central Texas and South Texas, probably your most common Masticophis is going to be the Shots or Ruthven's whips.
Yeah.
You will see some Western coach whips down there as well, but not in numbers like the Shots and Ruthven's there.
So what about, if you could give a time of year and time of day for, what you have experience with, any Masticophis, what would you say are they most active?
If you just want to see them out, I mean, before noon, that 8 to 11 o'clock window before you hit the peak heat of the day, I'm sure they'll still be out, but they're going to be kind of tucked away in that edge type habitat, kind of looking from the shade.
Okay.
Food and things like that. They're not going to be, out there baking in the heat, even though they are pretty heat tolerant there. And then kind of transitioning to the afternoon, you'll find them out again before they go back to their wherever their sites are, I guess, for the evening. But I mean, you can find them just as the temperatures are cooling down.
So you're looking at more early morning to actually like find them.
Yeah, to flip them and get a hand on them more early morning.
Yeah, and then late morning to actually see them possibly out basking and hunting type of scenario. Right. Okay, cool.
Sorry, go ahead. Never mind.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
So I just off of the experience I have with the Eastern coach whips, and that's not much. I've only seen 2 in my life, but I have a lot of friends who are luckier than me. So from what I understand and from what I've been told a lot of times, because we put out flip sites and stuff like that, they seem to prefer wooden structures like plywood or logs. You rarely ever see them under actual tin or metal. Is that kind of the same with your Western species and stuff out there?
Yeah. So obviously the railroad ties out in West Texas, and the scout camp that I'm at, that I help out at, and I'm on the maintenance committee for, like there's these pallets that we keep the summer camp tents on, and they're like 4.5 feet wide by 8 foot long, and each tent requires 2 of those, and there's probably 20 tent sites throughout the camp. So I mean, throughout the summer, you find you're just flipping crap, and there's all sorts of stuff.
Do y'all keep them elevated on those to like keep scorpions and tarantulas and stuff out, or is it like?
So now the wood's on the ground. The scouts are we recommend putting like a tarp down over the slats of wood. Some people do that, some people don't. But my favorite time is when over like the winter and spring, we keep them all stacked up.
Right. And
it's like literally taller than my head standing there, or a little over my head there. Just unstacking all of those and then restacking them back. It's like, that's the coolest thing. So you find all sorts of just stuff,
Nice.
Atrox, corals, coach whips, garters are real pretty out there. The checker garters, lots of rat snakes. There was one year of the rat snake where we had like 10 Texas rat snakes we found. There was one windy day that knocked 3 of them out of a tree, which is crazy. But anyway,
wild.
It's cool. Yeah,
it's awesome. So
Texas rat snakes are awesome too, man. They look like freaking lava.
Dude, I've got the coolest locality Texas rats you'll ever see. These things are so freaking cool. They're like almost like I call them like the spawn of Satan, not only because they're assholes, but because these things are like jet black with red undertones, and they just like look like they're from the pit of hell. They're so cool.
That's badass.
But this question might go more into your captive keeping side because you don't have as much experience with the Easterns. But what can you tell us about differences in Easterns versus Westerns in your captive keeping experience, as far as like activity and, again, times of day, times of year? Because I assume you try and keep your collection pretty naturalistic. How do you see them differentiate between Eastern and Western subspecies?
Yeah, so I'll say obviously the Easterns are bigger.
Okay.
And, at least from what the individuals that I've seen, the 2 that I have are pretty long. I don't have locality data, so I don't know if that's normal for wherever they're from. But
they're big out here. I can tell you that.
It's not uncommon to see an Eastern out here. 6.5, 7 foot.
6 plus is common.
Well, cool. It might just be because they haven't been here super long. I've only had them a couple of months. I think I got them like in November or late October, September, October. November. Yeah, late October, early November there. But they're not as confident. I would say they're a little bit more secretive.
The Easterns are.
Yeah. Because the Easterns, I've got cameras on them, which is cool. But they tend to, as soon as I walk in, they shy away, or they're just always under the little tile. I do these like ret stacks. I think that's the the proper pronunciation, but kind of like those stack tile little crevices. Because whenever I flip them, they're in pretty tight quarters, and I think they like the dark where they can still kind of look out a little bit and thermoregulate throughout that kind of zone like they would in a stack, or a pile of boards or whatnot there. As far as prey preferences, I haven't really noticed any like difference between the two, the Westerns and the Easterns. Just the size, I'll feed them a lot of chicks and some rodent prey in there. Try not to keep them too rodent heavy because they'll get a little bit fatter, especially in captivity. But that's basically all I got for you as far as the differences there. Yeah. Pretty similar, just size, and then you get slightly different phenotypes, and just of course native range there.
It is kind of crazy, obviously I have zero experience with Masticophis in the wild. I've never found a coach whip. That's now that my Eastern Diamondback is crossed off. Coach whips are probably at the very top, right next to pine snakes of my field findings this year. So I have zero experience with them, but I do find it interesting how, especially in Sky's neck of the woods, I've seen some that Sky you found that were straight up tan that looked exactly like something you would see out west. And then you've also found some that, like you posted today, that are like black and tan, which are more of what we see out here. Like in my area, they're pretty much, you're going to find black and tan or all black ones. And then Sky, you've also found like straight tan ones, which, kind of blows my mind how phenotypically different they can be.
Yeah.
Actually, since you mentioned that, I got a question to go along with that. Connor, do you notice any phenotypical difference with the sexes, like male to female color wise at all?
With the Westerns that I have the most experience with, not a whole lot. If you look on the underside, like on their ventral, I guess under their chin area here, there's like this, at least in Palo Pinto, it seems like the males have like this kind of like speckling underneath their chin here, which is cool. There's no published record saying that is a thing for males, that's not a thing for females or whatnot. But among like the 12 or so individuals that I found out in Palo Pinto County, that's just been kind of a trend that I've noticed, which is kind of cool, at least to me. Yeah. But it's like a pinkish hue along like an eggshell belly scale, which is neat to me. So.
I would like to hear an update on that whenever you get around to producing some in captivity, because I know subtle differences like that can definitely play a factor.
Yeah. So as far as, sorry to cut you off, but
I was done.
As far as the captive side goes, I'm kind of focusing more on the whip snakes here. I've got those Easterns from a friend that's moving and can't take them. But the person to hit up about that is that Ryu Lugosi. I sent most of my Westerns kind of got split up between my mentor and then Ryu there. So she's had repeated success breeding the red-faced Westerns. This will be either her second or third year breeding them, but it's definitely something to reach out to her and kind of poke around with.
Yeah.
I wondered that because the couple really tan individuals that didn't have black, like the black third into the fade, those all seem to be like big males. And then the ones that I've caught that were the really like light, that had a lot less black or just like had like a brown head and neck and then went to the tan, those were females. And one was fucking gravid. So I in my thinking, I had thought that was like a differentiation for a lot of the Eastern stuff, was like the males had the big, heavy black, third of the front, and then the females were more of the lighter.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like with my pair. That female is the black to white, and then the male is the more muddled black to brownish. But that's definitely. That's just the one pair that I have here, so I can't say for sure, yes, it's that, but we get more observations going, and that's how things get put out there. We just got to get more time.
Yeah, like that. These types of conversations are exactly how this type of stuff gets, known. You
Right.
know, like right now, it's like, most people that find coach whips in the wild aren't really sexing them,
Yeah.
But if somebody who had a good population of them could find them pretty frequently, put the effort in and really sexed everyone they found and documented it, maybe that's something that is a common factor of these animals of
Yeah.
phenotypic difference between males and females. I've never thought about that, Sky. That's a cool observation.
I'm glad that you brought that up because that totally. I was like, oh shit, that's a thing I've been wondering for a fucking minute now.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And this is why you make field notes and
Right.
list
Exactly.
your observations. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's never bad to, and it's so easy. If you, obviously, I'm going to preface this by saying don't use your, something like probes. Don't use probes from your snake room they use on captive snakes in the wild. Have a set of probes with you if you're going to probe snakes in the wild. If you have any, intentions on collecting and you want to probe, have a set of probes to the side. But if you're researching stuff like Masticophis, stuff that's a little bit more unknown, but you have a population that you can check, like bring those probes with you that stay away from the collection and start probing the individuals that you find. And if you get any type of data you can put down on these things like that's good info.
Yeah.
And Connor, I know you're trying to work towards a book, so like anybody that can provide you some type of information like that would be
Yeah. I'm just one guy. Any help would be great.
that would be awesome.
But that being said, with the probing, make sure you
make sure you know how to do it.
You can really hurt a snake doing that.
Yeah, make sure you know exactly what you're doing.
Get a mentor, talk to a vet, something.
Yeah,
it can help as well. It's also a lot easier probing a snake with two people instead of one person.
That's especially with something like a coach whip. Good God. Definitely. That was my next point. Definitely know what you're doing. Don't just go shoving stuff up snakes' cloacas.
We know a lot of y'all are perverts and just like shoving stuff up holes.
Don't
snake's life.
Yeah, don't do that. You can really hurt a snake, possibly kill it, cause horrible infections if you don't know exactly what you're doing with probing. That is
not to mention
that's a touchy subject.
Damage it, and now it's no longer able to reproduce
exactly
generation into the population.
Yeah, there are horrible things that you could do to a snake if you don't know how to properly probe it. Not to say like, oh, I think it's a female, let me push a little harder. Like, oh no, it's a male. No, you just made it a male. Let's not do that. So just make sure you know what you're doing. I'm not saying everybody just go and do that. But somebody like the four of us who know what they're doing could be very beneficial. And it's also don't find two coach whips and probe them and say there's a difference. This isn't one of those like you find two snakes and do it. This is more of a of a population, you can get a solid number and get some actual results. Obviously, there's going to be some variation, but if you find 20 coach whips and 18 of them are male and they're heavier black, and then the others are much lighter that are females, that's something to record. But if you find 3 or 4 and there's some variation, you have to have a bigger set of numbers to claim something like this. It's obviously fun to question, but to actually say this is solid information, you have to have a pretty large number of individuals to even make that assumption. So just wanted to preface that a little bit. Obviously, Connor, we know you're working on a book. You've talked about that, but as of now, if anybody's looking more into Masticophis research and just natural history, do you have any recommendations of books to go to read more about them, or articles online or anything?
Yeah. So there's that book through University of Michigan, which I can grab it if you got a second.
Yeah,
I'm gonna show you guys. I'll be right back.
Yeah, for sure. Man, this is fun. I like this episode a lot.
I love it. I'm still really upset that last year when everyone was finding coach whips, there was like a 2-week stretch near me where all my friends are finding coach whips. And I was sick with the flu on my couch dying, getting pictures of coach whips sent to me nonstop. And I'm just like, oh, please just let it in me.
Yeah.
God.
Just let me die.
Just let me die.
Alrighty. This is kind of like my Bible for right now. It's Whip Snakes and Racers. Whatever that says in backwards English right there.
Yeah.
By University of Michigan. It's always in this navy blue cover. Super old book from like the 30s. There's a few copies circulating right now through different herp book resellers. But throughout this book, there's going to be a lot of like black and white photos, different plates with scale counts and stuff like that, which is cool to look at.
Did you have
and then range maps as well.
You said that's from the University of Michigan?
Yeah. And there's these fold down little range maps and stuff that have all sorts of, I don't know. Not
Oh, wow.
That's so cool.
But it's a good book to refer to. And I'm definitely, I'm not trying to copy that,
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of a hybrid between like a field guide, the complete sub-off book. And I want to include some stories from, herpers like us that find unique examples and just little stories, stuff like that. Anyway, but yeah, that's a great book there. Obviously, if you're looking for more of the captive husbandry side, check out my YouTube, first last name on YouTube there. Lots of different videos on niche stuff, and then Instagram, and there's a Facebook group, Coach Whips, Whip Snakes, and Racers you can join, as well as the locality Massagophus and Coluber. In that particular group of Massagophus and Coluber, I'm trying to get more field finds. So I encourage all three of you guys, get in there, post your field photos, if you have locality information. Obviously, don't make it too specific, but counties,
don't put your GPS coordinates on there.
No, definitely don't do that. But just trying to get more photos out there and exposure to these snakes that people seem to overlook because they're bitey and musky sometimes.
So anybody listening, definitely look out for that page if you have a Massagophus spot. That's how these things get more noticed. It's very important. I know it's a Facebook page, but at the end of the day, that's social media is how a lot of these things get
networking. Yeah,
networking, exactly. So I would encourage anybody, if you have a good Massagophus area, whether it be whip snake racers, coach whips, definitely look into that. That's awesome.
I got a couple of spots that I want to freaking try to get some good numbers of some coach whips this year. And if I do, I'll do as much as I can to document or get any information off of them and relay it to you to help if any way I can. But I definitely wanted to try to get Jake on a freaking coach whip in my area this year if we can. But they're around. They're everywhere in my area. It's just finding them. You know how it is. They're quick and they're fast, and when they're out, and when they're out, they see everything. So
when they're out, they're gone.
They see everything, and they are gone when they see you.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. It's like I'm kind of treating coach whips and pine snakes similar to the Eastern Diamondback of like, I know I could probably go to Florida and find one a little bit easier, but I don't want that to be my first, because I know I have them here in South Carolina, especially in my area. I know I can find them near me, but they're not necessarily as abundant near me. So, but at the same time, I really want my lifers to be from South Carolina, but I certainly won't turn my nose up to some Florida individuals. That's That's for
The
sure.
Florida ones are prettier anyway, bro.
That's wrong. But we will continue from that.
What? Your
Listen.
fucking your computer glitched. You said I don't know.
No,
No one
listen,
knows what you said.
You're out of the 3 hosts here. You're the only one from Florida, so I think Gabe's going to be on my side on this.
I'm on neither of your sides. I like I'm over here with Connor. Give me those pink mastications.
Yeah, dude. Honestly,
I'm with the pinks. Honestly,
Yeah,
I'm with the pinks.
if I could find any of them, yeah, I'd choose. No, honestly, like I think the pinks are prettier, absolutely. But if somebody could say you can find a coach whip in any area of the U.S. right now, it would absolutely be South Carolina.
Man, for me, it's got to be southwestern New Mexico, that little boot heel part there. You can find Sonoran coach whips, which they're like a pink with bands.
Ooh, yeah.
There.
I've seen those.
You can also find Sonoran whip snakes and stripe whip snakes in that area, which is insane. If you go a little bit further west, look at the Pisces, the red racers. Or anyway, that's a whole dream of mine.
Yeah.
I find I don't know. There's
those
red coach are great. The pink phase are great, but just for a little bit further west, there's so much more. There's so much.
Awesome.
I think it's I think it's North Georgia. Might be North Georgia, South Georgia, North Georgia. Those I'm pretty sure those are like they're like a nice like stark white and gray, but they also have like good banding as well most of the time. Yeah. I know there's obviously variation, but I've seen some pictures of some gnarly fucking North Georgia ones that are just like fucking stark white to gray with just fucking bands all the way down. Oh my god, so sexy.
You guys need to get this guy it's Peter Palpinus or something like that. He lives in the Ozarks in Missouri, and those Missouri Ozark Eastern coach whips, like jet black gold bands or jet black with a red tail. Insane. I'll shoot you guys some photos of those later. Or anyway, but they're insane. There's such great herb diversity there. It really
if you could, no matter whether it's something you found or somebody else has found, send us something that we're allowed to post on the Instagram page to promote this episode.
Yeah,
something that we're allowed to post, whether from you or somebody
preferably
else.
Something with you with no shirt on.
Little nipple mustaches,
Yeah. But definitely shoot us something that we can post on the page after this, promote this episode.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely.
That would be awesome. Back.
I do have one quick question before my ADHD completely wipes it out of my brain.
Okay.
Can you do caudal scale counts on the Masticophis to determine the sex of them without probing?
I would say you could. I don't know what the number difference is there. Males typically have longer, thinner tails.
Right.
So I'm sure you could. There's just not like in the books that I've read, and then the numbers just kind of vary from me counting them individually, where I can't say like this is 100% a male, this one is 100% a female, because yes, the male's tails are longer, but if you're looking at like 2 females and a male, the difference isn't that crazy, and some of them a lot of them for whatever reason have stub tails whenever I find them, whether it's just some stuck shed that made it fall off, or there's a lot of raptors around my area too. So I'm sure that has something to do with it.
And they couldn't quite get them. They just got the tails because they're very fat snakes.
Yeah. But to answer your question, yes, I'm sure you can. I just don't have a set number on that there.
That'd be interesting oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sky.
You said that, and I'm pretty sure it was Preston. One of the times he was down herping, it was amongst all this shit with us trying to figure out how to sex stuff when we were finding it in the wild. I think he did find a diagram. I can't remember what snake it was, if it was for the rat snakes or the coach whips or what, but there's a picture where it shows the cloacas of the male and the female, and then like the start of the scales into the tail, showing like the different. There's like a 2 or 3 scale overlay that's a little bit different, or like it's like 2 into 1, or
Yeah,
I can't, but
it's
there's a subtle difference.
there's usually like sometimes in some species will have like a split scale just below the cloaca versus.
That's what it's like, the split scale onto that, or it was just like the solid ones. So yeah, it was basically that.
Nice.
Oh, and Sanchez also says you could definitely differentiate the sex by the taste. So never count that method out.
Yeah.
Do some slurping.
Yeah. Let's not do that.
Shake's no fun.
Yeah, no. No. Let's not put our mouths on snakes for the sake of the animals.
Gabe's all. I can't tell this.
Looking cloacas left and right. Like, I
mean, hey, Nerodia musk is the best seasoning.
Brother.
I put it on my face.
As somebody who as the one person who truly loves Nerodia in this group, let's not do that.
Night snakes are worse.
Really?
They are worse than Nerodia. And
I will be the judge of that.
But come on.
Yeah, that's so honestly, as far as Nerodia are concerned, the worst musk I've ever smelled. I've been musked by hundreds on hundreds of Nerodia, Pantherophis, all alike, and it's all bad. But the worst I've ever had was I had a group of Ponchatoula, Texas broad-banded water snakes, and I put all 3 of them in a tote to clean their enclosure. And I had all 3 of them in there, clean their thing, and I went to go put them back. And brother, I opened this tub, and I've never once in my life gagged from musk. But I don't know, but like all 3 of them combined made this super musk. That was the worst thing. I opened that tub and I was like, I had to hold back myself from throwing up. It was so bad. I don't know why those specifically were so fucking terrible, but they were, and yeah, that was ungodly. Any other Nerodia? I would say your night snakes probably hold a candle, but those for whatever reason were just so extra bad.
That was all that hate and spite they had towards you.
They just so bad, dude. Yeah. Horrible.
Kind of the topic of Nerodia, sidebar here, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
Yesterday we didn't find any, but there's 2 or 3 good sites for the Brazos water snake, which is an endemic and threatened species here in Texas. We were checking those out yesterday. Didn't find any. It's a little early. I've only come across babies, so it's a goal of mine this year to find an adult. And then the Chancho water snake, which is another endemic Texas native. It's a similar looking species. It's Pachycumulata, Nerodia pachycumulata for the Chanchos, and then Harderi for the Brazos. But
they kind of look like erythrogaster, right? Or no?
They kind of remind me of like a narrow-headed garter snake.
Okay.
I'm familiar with those. They're just kind of like a lighter hue, like a I don't know, like an oak wood kind of hue, like light brown.
Okay.
And they're cool. I mean, they're really specific to certain habitat, and you don't find them more than 10 feet away from water, which is another kind of cool thing. But yeah, they're beautiful snakes. So sorry, sidebar over, but
no, you're good, man.
They're awesome.
I just noticed you and Gabe are fucking rocking the fucking sheds almost identical right now on your screens.
Yeah, this is My big one-eyed lyre snake that I have.
Holy shit!
Oh, dude, you're a liar snake.
Oh my god.
That's a huge liar snake. What?
That is mass. I didn't realize lyre snakes could even get that big. That's crazy.
Take that motherfucker.
There she is. Can you see her?
Oh man.
In the corner?
That's her cage there.
Yeah.
In the corner by the rock? Is
Yeah.
that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, that's badass
Tough with
enclosure,
the
by the
laptop,
way.
but yeah.
Badass enclosure.
That's great.
Awesome.
One of my buddies put that together. Ari at Reptilandia,
Yeah.
the Bowen's Python guy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, if you don't know Ari, you're fucking fucked.
yeah.
Man.
But yeah, that's an awesome cage, and I love the snake there too. That's from
Connor, if you ever need fake rock backgrounds built and all, I also do really good fake rock background builds too. So
Okay. Yeah.
How
Yeah,
far
I
are you
wanna
from
expand
Reptilandia?
some of my stuff here, so I'll definitely keep you in mind.
yeah, man.
How far are you from Reptilandia?
It's about 3.5 hours.
Fuck, lucky.
But,
That's fucking badass.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've sent them some stuff, and then whenever I can, I'll try and get down there and see if they need help or just to go down there and shoot the shit and not disrupt anything, I guess. But
Yeah.
I'm also a member of the Central Texas Herp Society, which meets usually in the San Antonio area, which is more like 4.5 hours or so. They'll do some of their meetings at Reptilandia as well. We did one recently, which I posted on Facebook and showed all the cool stuff there. But it's a wonderful place. They get a lot of herping in that area as well. If you're looking for a destination, go to Reptilandia, go check out San Antonio Zoo, and there's tons of cruising out there. You can find lots of fun stuff.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're starting to kind of run short on time, and I do want to touch on a recent trip you did to, I believe, I can't remember where exactly you.
Just South Texas?
Yes, the picture under the pictures you sent me.
Yeah.
So let's kind of talk about that. I'm sharing the picture now.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So sick.
That's a Texas Indigo there, of course. I just by chance, one of the guys that I had sold a few rubber boas to out of Ohio, Chris, I think his last name is Diedrich or whatnot. He's way better herper than I am, or gets out more or whatnot. But wonderful guy. But he invited me to kind of just come out and check out a piece of Texas I'd never seen. And it's literally like so we went down to Brownsville, which is the furthest southern city in Texas.
Yeah, I was about to say that's really. I was not far from Brownsville when I lived there.
Yeah, no, it's comparison to Fort Worth. It's more like Jurassic Parky. It's the best way I can say it. It's insane. But we herped the Palm Sanctuary down there pretty hard. The targets for me were obviously Texas Indigos, Northern Cat-eyed Snakes, Ruthven's Whips, and Speckled Racers.
I was just about to ask about that, if you guys went to the Sky Islands or not.
Yeah, so I did see one, but it was on display at the Brownsville Zoo. Doesn't really count, but one day, I'm trying to spend, I've allotted myself, I guess, 3 trips to South Texas to try and get a speckled racer while I'm down there.
It's in just like a little pocketed little area, right, that you can find them?
Yeah. It's Cameron County. It's the only county in Texas you can find them, to my knowledge. The best density is, of course, they're in the Palm Sanctuary where they're protected, and that's actually on the other side of the border wall. But still in Texas, and you can literally throw a rock into Mexico, which is insane. But beautiful habitat. There's the Spanish moss all over the place. But we were driving out of the Palm Sanctuary. We found this guy just right there on the road, jumping out, and it's a beautiful snake. That's one of 2 that I personally saw. The group that I was with, they got there a few days before me and cruised Mexican milk, which is pretty crazy. And they found 3 other indigos before that. So while I was there, we had a total of 7 snakes, but they were really special.
Oh, top tier.
Big targets, you know. I mean, the Texas Indigo, terrible musk on it, but it was just a beast. The muscle you could feel in that animal, you know, was insane. And definitely, I mean, I'm thankful I didn't get bit, you know, doing that. Yeah. But just a really, really pretty snake.
Look at the scales on this thing, dude. It looks like it has a little bit of a scar right there. But this is what gets me about indigos, especially, is just these massive scales.
It's like a fucking arapaima, bro.
Well,
exactly.
This was the cleanest one that we found. There's tons of hawks and crested caracaras, which are a beautiful bird down there. And the video that I posted, which I think I sent you as well.
Yeah, I've got the video. We're gonna get
that particular snake had flaps of skin that it had healed underneath, but the flap of skin was still connected, and it had a stump tail covered in ticks. Most of them were like literally that snake was covered in. Almost every snake we came across was just loaded with ticks.
How big was this individual?
The coastal grass that's like literally above waist high. It's just so dense.
How big was this individual in particular?
That one wasn't very big. I would say maybe 4.5 to 5 foot. Definitely on the smaller side. I'd say like a young adult, you know.
Yeah.
I love how they retain a little bit more of that side pattern than like the Easterns and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's
subtle like rust. Yeah.
That subtle like rust coloration. Like, don't get me wrong, like you get some Easterns with like the chins and stuff, but like that kind of side patterning that they retain is beautiful.
Yeah. Definitely.
Oh, look at.
Yeah, so this is in-shed Ruthven's whip snake. I wish my finger was not in the photo there, but it was. But yeah, no, that's an example of flipping. You know,
not your hard on for the Ruthvens.
Well, up for interpretation there. But yeah, no, deep in shed. This guy here, it was a cloudy day. Didn't expect a whole lot, but there was like a boardwalk that we walked, and then there was like a set of boards, like 8 or so that have been there forever, and it's not really like a secret spot. But yeah, no, that guy was it. Honestly, that snake made the trip for me, which seems weird because we found indigos, you know. But I'm just that was the first example of a Ruthven's whip snake I've ever seen. I've seen the shots, you know, I've kept the shots, never kept the Ruthvens. Slight differences between the two species. These are more like olive, darker green, less blue to them, but they're definitely like one of the more neotropical species you'll see in Texas there, and they're just
so that was your lifer, right?
Yeah
Awesome.
That's
man
sick.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
How many species of Masticophis in the Southwest or Central Texas in general, how many species do you have left to see in the wild, or was that the final one?
So the only ones that I have yet to find are the lion coach whip, which tougher to find because it's like basically the very tip of the triangle portion of Trans-Pecos, like El Paso, very far west there, which that's like a 9-hour drive for me. Texas is very wide, you know?
Right.
Or I guess the only other species, I think that's the only Masticophis that I've yet to find in Texas. There I've seen Easterns, Westerns, this guy here, the Ruthvens, the Shots, Central Texas, so just the line coach whips, yeah. And there's only like 2 or 3 records of them on iNet too, which is interesting. I guess most people just think of them as like a tan Western. But
that's impressive, man. I mean, that takes some work and some hours put in of herping to really knock that many species of the Masticophis off.
Yeah. And I'm not really like a great herper. I'm definitely more of like a keeper, you know, but it's definitely fun to get out there. I've challenged myself to try and find at least one example of every species I keep so that I can do like monitor, or take notes, on like where I found them, the different temperatures, things like that. In my herp bag, I forgot to mention I've got a temperature sensor, like one of those temp guns as well. Try and take as much notes as I can about the species that I keep in captivity, just to do the best for them, you know.
Well,
Yes.
I personally feel like you're downplaying yourself on being a good quote unquote herper because in my opinion there's people that herp a lot and there's people that don't have time to herp as much.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not really like a good bad
I
herper.
gotcha.
There's lucky herpers and there's people who just herp more than they work, and
Right.
a lot of us aren't that lucky, but it certainly sounds like you put in the time and effort for these individuals specifically, and yeah, I respect it a lot personally.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I think it's awesome.
Dude, I think you're killing it, man. I mean, don't sell yourself short.
Absolutely.
You're killing it on the Masticophis game, man, and doing great when you're herping.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to find that many subspecies if you were shitty.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. What's going on here? What is this?
Yeah. So if you do make it down to the Palm Sanctuary down there, just obviously you're watching the ground for snakes, but like we walked into these palm groves just to flip some of the dead palm fronds, and we're bumping into hornet nests like that. So I mean, I was flipping just to try and stir up a speckled racer or the black striped snakes, which we'll see in a minute. But yeah, just look up. That's the only reason that's in there, I guess. You know, just be careful. Look up.
Watch out.
Yeah.
Beware.
Dude, I've been on the receiving end of some hornets, and let me tell you,
they're not fun.
Not fun at all. Yeah, that's all I will say about that.
Yeah,
what is this? Because I don't
black
know.
striped snake. It's Conophanes something. But this is another one of those, like, they're pretty common, but they only occur in like 2 or 3 counties in Texas. So per state law, they're protected.
That's badass.
That's almost as big as they get, which is about 4, maybe 5 inches.
I take it they're pretty fossorial too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So this one, I rolled over a piece of just palm stalk that had fallen over. It was pretty dry, so I didn't expect to find one. But basically, they just eat those little ground skinks and like narrow-mouth toads and stuff like that. Rear-fanged, just like your night snakes and other stuff like that. They've got a really bright red belly, similar like your ringnecks and stuff like that. But they are just a beautiful snake, and for the size that they are, it's pretty. I don't know. They're just super cool to me.
I wouldn't expect that thing to have a red belly. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, I think there's another photo you might see later.
Yeah, I was about to say I thought there was one of the belly here.
Yeah,
you can see it on the tail.
And then the next photo.
Hey man, that's a pretty big snake once you put it in hand, bro. I don't know.
That's a really big snake, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty average.
Hey,
Pretty average.
You gotta count for shrinkage, right? So
that's an average size snake if I've ever seen one. Yeah.
But yeah, no, beautiful snake.
There we go. Yeah,
that's fucking awesome, man.
Definitely. I mean, they're pretty common, so it's not like a particularly interesting find, but it was a lifer. That's the lifer for me, and just something I didn't think really have on my mind is like, I want to see these, but seeing it in person just blew me away.
For one, talking to 3 dudes from the East, like that's an awesome find, but also 2, I've talked to a lot of people from out West, and nobody's ever talked about these. So me as a field herper, I certainly appreciate you bringing these up. Like these are fantastic, man. It does remind me a lot of like your ringnecks or the red belly snakes, stuff like that. It
looks like an eastern red belly almost,
Yeah.
For me, I think snakes like this, like your micro fauna type of snakes, they go way too unnoticed. And if you pay attention to the small intricacies of these individuals, it's incredible. Like something like this, like it's like you flip something like this, see it from the top, in like the other pictures, and it's like, oh, cool, that's what it looks like. But then you flip it over and you see that, and you're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
like if you don't take the time to really look at some of these snakes, it's you can miss such small, beautiful details of these things,
Right.
man. And it always blows my mind of like, because like some of the ringnecks out here have those really bright bellies, and like, why is that? Like, do they flip over when a predator is there to make it look bright and dangerous, or like what's the purpose of a belly like this?
The ringnecks, they usually do like a tail curl with their back half.
Right, yeah.
And they'll like leave it upside down, so it almost looks like a fucking rosebud.
It looks, yeah.
At you.
For me, like whenever they do the tail coil, it almost like it's depicting like a head, and a bright colored head that's over there. For one, if it's gonna strike, it's gonna hit their tail and not their actual head. But two, like animals also know bright colors can potentially mean dangerous.
Yeah.
So like, it's just, I don't know.
So that's like with the ringnecks, like they're technically rear fanged. Like the coral snakes won't eat them. Don't ask how I know. Coral snakes will not eat them. And like you said, that bright undertone, that bright orange or red belly in nature says, hey, I'm dangerous, leave me alone.
Right.
And so I'm wondering if Connor, you can tell me, or you said these guys are also rear fanged as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm wondering if it ties into these species being rear fanged.
That's actually probably very
I know Tantilla rear fanged too, and the ones I find around here, the flat-headed, the gracilis.
Yep,
those have that same kind of red belly too. And I don't know about the crown snakes out east. I don't know if they've got a similar belly or not.
Not really.
Not quite as vibrant. A little discolored, but not as
not notable.
Yeah, everything in the wild, normally, if it's poisonous or venomous or has some sort of toxic effect, it has a display of a bright color. So why would it just stray away just because something's fossorial and small,
For sure. For sure. Talk about this shed, Connor, because that is a gigantic
animal. So I've got it here in my closet.
Oh, I see you got your tick tape on your pants legs.
I was about to say, what's up with the duct tape?
So where the Ruthvens, where we flipped that, the grass was about, in some spots, nipple high, most parts just above the belt, which is crazy. And there's like cactus that's about shin tall, mixed in throughout all this grass here. So you just got to watch where you're stepping. And I'm glad it was November, kind of towards the end of the season, where it's a little cooler, cloudy day, because that is an H-Rock shed. And in comparison to my forearm here,
holy crap,
that's my size 12 Twisted X shoe there.
All right.
That is a insane, like, whoa. I don't know how long that rattlesnake. This is not a complete shed. This is like a 5 to 6 foot
easily
rat destroyer.
That's a rabbit destroyer, my friend.
Well, probably.
That thing's got to be pushing 6.5 foot, dude.
Yeah,
that's fucking insane.
It was hung up in a lower portion of like a kind of like thorny shrub tree type thing, right next to the boards where we were flipping. And like I said, I'm glad that it was a cooler day, because we wouldn't have seen a rattlesnake in the grass we were walking through. There was multiple of us, so that was great. If something did happen, there would be people there to help me. Never go. I try to never go solo herping.
Right.
But anyway, that was just a really impressive find there. Normally, I don't take sheds, but that was just like, holy crap! I got to remember this.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And of course, the duct tape, because there's these teeny tiny little.
Ticks.
Ticks. They would just cover you the whole day.
We call them seed ticks around.
Yeah, that's what they were. Yeah.
Horrible little creatures that belong in the deepest pits of hell.
Yeah.
That is all I can say
Yeah.
about that, because
Yeah.
they will cover. You'll brush one bush, and they will cover you by the thousands.
Yeah. I only
Don't-
got one on
don't
me
ask me
the
how I
entire
know.
trip, so that was good.
Well, the
Damn,
duct
you
tape
got
probably
lucky.
helped. I wore, side story. I wore shorts and tennis shoes out to a barrier island here that is, connected. It's connected by road, so you can drive there. And I was driving, and the person I was with was like, "Man, my feet are itching." So I was like, "Oh, it's fine. We'll head back to the car. I'll give you my shoes. I'll walk back barefoot, no issues." And I took my shoes off and took my socks off and proceeded to see about 1,000 black tiny dots all over my feet and ankles, and it was one of the worst days of my life. Yeah,
Thanks.
horrible, horrible, horrible creatures that deserve nothing but to be burned in the darkest pits of hell. Yeah, God, I still have nightmares. I believe this is
Oh,
video
Yeah.
you sent us. My God.
So this particular snake was in an area you're not technically supposed to handle them, but it was out in the road and there was people nearby, so we just wanted to do a little education and then get it out of the way,
That's
you
a
see
big pack.
that stump tail, and then there's kind of like a blistering look on it in the middle portion of the body, and that is where that flap of skin was. Just,
Oh, I see it
Oh, I
there.
see
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
and there was probably counted 6 different raptor species just flying around, literally during this.
That thing is a dude. Oh
That's
my
a
God.
snake, dude.
That
That's a
is
big snake.
massive.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a snake you got to respect, and just being in awe of that snake was. I can't really put it into words, you just got to experience it yourself. But that was a very special snake, and I'm really happy that my buddy was going down there and invited me.
Yeah.
So
We're gonna watch it one more time.
yeah.
I mean, look at that snake, dude. That
just-
thing is huge.
I just love the confidence that snake has. Like, it's not trying
Right?
to, it's not trying to squirm all over the place. It is looking at the grass the whole time, like, I'm gonna dart off
Yeah.
as soon as you put me down.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine they've got pretty big home ranges, and he probably knew exactly where he was going.
Oh,
He
yeah.
Oh
looks
yeah,
at it, does in the
absolutely.
video.
Absolutely. That's incredible. And then this is the last picture you sent me from that.
Yeah, that's a Brazos water snake. We talked about those a little earlier.
Yeah.
That was the third individual I've seen. I've only seen babies at this particular spot, which means there's parents somewhere. But I'm hoping that's a little closer. It's about an hour for me, so I'm hoping I can find an adult one of these days.
Nice.
Well, as we wrap up the main portion with you, Connor, what you have any goals for this year? Herping goals? What are where places you're trying to go? Whatever. Either local, outside of Texas, whatever.
Yeah. So obviously the adult female or adult Brazos water snake. I'd love to see one. The Chancho water snakes, they've been in pretty steady decline, but they're no longer protected by the state. So it'd be really nice to find an area where those are somewhat, abundant.
Yeah.
Want to hit South Texas once or twice this year. It'd be great to make 3, but that's a commitment there for any amount of time. While I'm in South Texas, I'd like to see a cat-eyed snake and a speckled racer. Those are pretty much the only 2 snakes that I would really care to see. I mean, I guess I love Mexico. If I see those, that's great. But that's really what I'll be there for. Bycatch is fine. And then my girlfriend, we've got on her side, there's a family reunion in Kansas.
Nice.
Never seen a Lampropeltis in the wild. So it'd be cool to see speckled cat, milkneck, whatever. And I love ringnecks. And I'm sure there'll be no shortage there in Kansas.
You should be able to slay some milk snakes, some speckled, some
Dude,
freaking...
Kansas is where it's at for milks. I mean,
Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
Milk heaven.
Yeah, it's going to be like July timeframe. So or June or July, whatever. I imagine I'm going to run into, higher volume just because that's like the spot to go,
Yeah.
But it'll be cool to kind of, meet people while I'm out there, and
I
that's another goal, I guess, just meeting other herpers and networking and having fun because it's not fun to do it by yourself.
I
No,
believe
it's
you
Not
can,
as rewarding, I
you
guess.
can find Western hogs in Kansas too, can't you?
Yeah.
Am I
Yeah,
right?
and I think Easterns as well. I found Easterns here in North Central
Okay.
Texas. I don't know. They're just not my thing.
Wow.
I guess that's the only way I have. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Everybody's entitled to their own shitty opinion. No, I'm playing. That's awesome, man. No, Kansas would be dope. That's a lot of that. That would be really cool. I'm a little bit of a hog nose nerd.
Okay.
So seeing Western hogs would be really, really dope. But yeah, dude, Kansas will be awesome.
Hog
Man.
noses are fantastic.
Oh,
Nice.
there he is.
Which one is that? That's the.
Oh, stop it! This is my big Eastern.
She's letting you know what's up, man.
She actually just tried to eat my finger just now. I'm glad I stopped her. She's pretty big. That would have hurt.
Yeah, as somebody who's taken a bite from an adult Western hognose, it's not fun.
Yeah.
It's
They
not.
do. Your hand swells a bit.
Yeah, luckily it was just my finger. My entire hand didn't swell, but my finger swelled up big time, turned purple, and it was a whole thing. Luckily, it wasn't like a big full-blown adult Western, but she grabbed my ring finger on my left hand and did not let go.
Yeah.
And that was the most painful non-venomous snake bite I've taken.
I mean, technically it's venomous, but
I mean, okay, non-front fang, non-viper venomous snake bite I've taken. Yeah, but yeah, that sucked big time. So, but all right, awesome, man. Well, any closing remarks, fellas? Anything we got for any other questions for Connor before we get in some ride-ins for tonight?
Connor, come herp southeast with us.
Come on, man.
Yeah. I want to see a pinewood glitter snake. So we'll make
Oh,
it.
bro,
Wow.
I've got a spot right down the road. We can make this happen.
Yeah, I'm a nerd. So anyway.
Yeah, I have a road crew spot for not earth snakes, for decay snakes. And then we recently found out because of somebody we ran into at my Sandhill spot, we have a spot for smooth earth snakes now that I designated. And that same spot that I find the decays, I actually found a DOR pine woods litter snake. So I'm hoping to find one alive. And the one DOR I found out there was weirdly big for a pine woods. Like I
feel like they get decent for a fossorial though.
For a fossorial ish, yeah. I mean, decent is
the biggest I've ever seen. It was like 8 inches long.
Yeah, but that's pretty big for a
that's fucking huge.
That's big for a fossorial snake.
I mean, yeah.
Like, but no,
that's
this
huge
was,
for anything, bro.
That's right. That's right.
No, the DOR I found was probably about that big, and I was a little shocked because like it looked like a little, what are they? What the captive snakes?
Oh, the house snakes.
Yeah, house snakes. It looked like a average size house snake, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
I was just about to say that they remind me so much of fucking house snake.
It's the eyes, the
eyes, and the head structure. Yeah. It's wild. So I'm hoping to find one alive on this road that I go to, and it's about prime time to be heading there. So
nice.
We're getting into it. So Connor, at this point, we're going to head into some ride-ins. You're welcome to hang out and join us for those, but if you got to go, we completely understand.
Yeah, I'll hang out and just observe. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's get into some write-ins tonight. The first one will be from Mr. Chris Sanchez, aka Dirty Sanchez.
Big Dirty.
We love him, and he never fails to entertain us at all. So we're gonna start with just a good old landscape picture. He says, where are we starting from? Not that one. He said, dear mom, dad, and uncle brother. We're gonna assume your uncle brother, Gabe.
Oh, I already.
This he said, dear mom, dad, and uncle brother, this camp you sent me to is horseshit. I went strolling through a local park and honestly just to pass time. With the temps being in the low 50s, I wasn't expecting to find anything. I actually found some cool birds and started a bird list while there. On the way back to the car, I flipped a random piece of dead fall and was pleasantly surprised with a red-bellied water snake, Nerodia erythrogaster. So this is the random fall that he flipped, and there is your red-bellied water snake, or plain-bellied, red-bellied from what he says. He had a bit of dried mud on him, obviously from being in the watershed pond, bank, or crayfish hole. Aside from being really cold, he was in really good condition, no injuries, and no sign of snake fungal disease or SFD, which I've seen on some Nerodia in the area. This is also the only spot in town I found erythrogaster, so it's a little bit more special to know they are still here. Hugs and kisses, Dirty.
Nice.
So that's that individual. Oh man, I meant to turn that around. I didn't see that one.
Oh,
I love Nerodia faces, man. I'll never get tired of them.
I love that beard that Dirty has going on. God, I could just
dude, you just want to cuddle up in that sucker, huh?
Hey, we can tangle our beards together one day, Dirty.
Let's not talk about that on the podcast. Okay, that goes into his next set of pictures, but awesome find with the red-bellied Mr. Sanchez. Beautiful. Moving on to the next set of pictures of him and his lady. He says, 2, the worst threesome ever. Mrs. Dirty was doing the Lord's work trapping feral cats, and in the midst got a gnarly bite, ended up as a 2-day hospital stay. Released on Friday and on Sunday, she got a call about a snapping turla in a culvert. So we donned our finest fulvius threads and saddled up. Much to my surprise, it actually was a snapping turla, common about the size of a softball. I missed the grab and it was gone. However, pushing some vegetation into the culvert, I was greeted with my first snake of the year, the good old decays. I know Gabe has never seen one, not at all, not once, not ever. So there's a few photos.
That's fucking great.
Oh, that's great.
I love it. The culvert was behind a firehouse, and one of the dudes was also a herper, was brave enough to handle the monster snake. You can see one feline wound on the aforementioned hot chick's hand. And so that's that. And you can see the little bit of a wound right there still left over from her hand. The irony wasn't lost on our family / friends of all the venomous snakes, spiders, snappers, etc. that we either keep, look for, or rescue. It's a cat that put her in the ER. Hugs and kisses, Vince Clortho, Keymaster of Gozer. Whatever.
What the fuck?
I don't know.
It's Ghostbusters, y'all. God.
I am not Hearst. But Gabe, how's that decays look, man?
That
Looks
thing
pretty.
badass.
It looks like it wants to avoid me like all the other ones.
Yeah, it looks like it wants to be in your hands, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's awesome. We love Dirty. Thank you so much, Chris, for writing in, and you always bring a smile to our faces with your amazing write-ins. Never ceases to make us chuckle. Next we have once again Mr. Wild World of Deming. His name is Ben. You can check him out at Wild World of Deming on Instagram. He said, "Yo, what up, fantastic herps, and where you find them? Got 2 more pictures for you boys. One of them is from Hawaii a couple months ago, and the other is the first herp of the year. The first picture is of my lifer green sea turtle, which I have these in reverse. We're going to play a little video while I talk. First picture is of my lifer green sea turtle. My wife spotted it on an expedition to look for dolphins. She's on the front of the boat like Moana and yelled sea turtle, and the boat stopped and we watched this magnificent sea turtle come up, take a breath of air, and go back down. The next photo is of a rough skin newt, one of the only poisonous animals in Washington. I found it while pest controlling. I accidentally stepped on it, and Nudie secreted its white poison out, just like Smitty secretes white stuff every time he talks about rhino rats." That's a
That is
beautiful
very
little
accurate.
Sally. Yeah, that's very, very accurate. So, beautiful animals. Thank you very much, Mr. Ben from Wild World of Deming. Definitely check him out. Keep up to date with all the good stuff he's got going on. And last but not least, we're gonna get into Mr. Nate Truax. You already know him from previous write-ins he has done. He writes in again about his Costa Rica trip. He says, "So on my 3rd day in Costa Rica, we saw some more amoebas during the day. Then we, Jeremy Pixon, Jay Murder, and myself, drove up to the northwest corner of the country around Santa Rosa National Park, and we didn't handle any animals in the park because that is a no-go. But he is climbing a tree, so there is that. That is a very large toad. Beautiful, beautiful." On the roads, we saw plenty of cane toads, and then we saw a spiny tail iguana in a tree about 30 feet off the road and 10 feet off the ground. So I climbed the tree to grab it, but it dropped to the ground just before I could reach it. And I assume that's what that is. And there is your beautiful iguana there. Beautiful animal. But I did manage to grab it as it was running around. It did take me a couple of tries though. Beautiful.
Nice looking picanata.
Yes. A little while later, we managed to cruise up a Central American lyre snake. I believe I shared it to y'all before, which you did. I do remember these photos, but nonetheless, incredible find. Who doesn't love a beautiful lyre snake? We then drove back to the Arenal area and did a little hike on one of the lodge trails. On the trail, we saw some more frogs, which, I mean, come on. Gorgeous.
Look at the pinkish under the legs.
Zoom in on that a little bit. Yeah, that is incredible. On the trail, we saw some more frogs and a Hoffman's earth snake.
Oh, nice.
Which I don't really know anything about these, but they kind of remind me of worm snakes.
Kind of, yeah.
With the little bit darker in color, but very similar head structure.
Definitely.
And they have that iridescence too. Like
Yeah. Yeah. incredibly beautiful. Then he sent a couple more pictures of that. And he says, and I kid you not, as soon as I touched this thing to pick it up, it jumped in the air and continued leaping like a Mexican jumping bean until it got to some soft dirt and then just dived and disappeared. To finish the night, me and Jeremy did a late road cruise that netted us another red coffee snake.
Oh, those are so cool.
Yeah, that's a beautiful individual. And then a large DOR harlequin snake, which I assume is that. Very unfortunate that it was DOR. And that was the end of my last night in the Arenal region. The next day, we went eastward, east towards the Caribbean, but that's a story for another day. So I assume that will likely be in the next write-in he gives us. So thank you very much, Nate. Definitely keep them coming. We've enjoyed your walkthroughs of your trip to Costa Rica. And that concludes our write-ins for tonight. Thank you, everybody that wrote into the show. Mr. Chris Sanchez, Ben from the Wild World of Deming, and then Nate Truax. Definitely check all of these individuals out on Instagram. They are fantastic people. And they consistently keep the content coming. So that goes for all of you out there as the weather warms. I know things have been a little slow for everybody, but as the weather warms, absolutely keep your write-ins coming. Definitely share your experiences and anything fun that you can share with us that we will be happy to showcase on the show, whether it's recent or even some past cool stories. Don't hit us with every single herp you've ever found in the last 10 years, but if you have one from the past that isn't recent that you want to showcase that's extra special to you, definitely hit us up with those. And try, if possible, to send previous to the day of the show, because normally morning of on Thursdays, I put everything together, and when people message us last minute, it does make my sorting a little bit difficult. I don't mean to be an annoying bitch when it comes to that, but sorting things can be annoying in my phone. So help a brother out. Send us a couple days in advance, a week in advance, whatever you want to do. Just not day of, please. I'll love you forever for it. But yeah, that concludes the write-ins for today. I'm excited to see what people find in the coming months, because it's almost prime time.
I'm so ready.
Here in the Southeast, man. I'm
itching.
It's been prime time. I don't know what you're talking about.
I was about to say, Gabe, shut up. You find shit all day, every day.
It's just started to be prime time. I don't want to hear about no been prime time. You found cottonmouths and pygmies up until 2 weekends ago.
What?
Yeah, I'm right. Yeah, I'm right. Because you call me every single fucking day and tell me about it. So
I feel like I have to push you to be the best herper that you can be, Jay.
Yeah, you do. I'm not mad about it, but I know exactly what you've been finding and when you've been finding it. So don't sit here and tell me it's been prime time. Motherfucker, you found pygmies and you found
You don't know me. You don't know what I
You don't know me.
as of today, you found a yellow rat and a rainbow snake, which was fantastic.
Don't forget the brown water and the banded water snake.
Yeah, I forgot about those. Okay, I'm sorry. You're also a host on here that can talk about the stuff they found.
I love you too, Sky.
Yeah. But this week for coming herp endeavors, our buddy who was a previous guest on the show, Preston Converse, very, very good friend of ours, is coming down to pick up several snakes from me this weekend. And it looks like Saturday might actually be a perfect day to go try and cruise some midday hunt club pygmies. So we're gonna try and make that happen. Try and find a true hunt club corn snake while we're at it.
You guys should go walk some of those sandhill areas too if you get a chance.
Yeah, we're gonna we thought about that. We might try and do both. Anybody that comes down here that works locality stuff, I try and take them to hunt club, sure, solely for the historical aspect of hunt club. You know, it's just cool to be in the area, and because a lot of people work with hunt club animals, and especially those that work with pure stock, they always want to go to hunt club. And the fact that I can achieve that for them, even if we don't find anything, it's just a cool historical piece of herpetoculture.
Ooh,
oh my god,
that is beautiful.
That's the South
Jesus.
Georgia phases I was talking about.
that's white
Oh
flag.
God. You know what? It
Damn.
not to say it does, but it damn near in the middle almost looks like a blue beauty snake type.
Yeah, those like circular. Yeah,
That's wild.
That's insane. Damn. Connor, when you gonna get out here, man?
I don't know. I keep saying I want to make Daytona. I haven't made it happen. I want to go to IHS. It's at Reptilandia, or not? It's at Iguana Land this year. I just gotta nut up and do it. You know.
Well, I tell you what, if you ever want to make Daytona happen, I am only about 3.5, 4 hours max from Daytona. So if you want to take off a couple days beforehand,
Yeah.
you can come crash with me. We'll go herp with Gabe for a day. We'll herp my area, ride down to Daytona. I'll bring you back that weekend. You can fly out. Easy.
Yeah, it's not in the cards for this year, but
yeah. I'm more so just
probably next year.
Yeah.
And then if I'm going to do it, I want to drive out there.
Okay.
Just to, like, hit everything on the way out. Like, probably take like a week and a half or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Do Daytona one day just to say I've done it, but I don't really, nothing at those shows anymore really. For me, you know?
You fucking nerd.
Sorry. Unless there's pine snakes at the expo, or pine snakes.
Yeah. No,
Litter
I
snakes,
agree, man.
or whatever. Anyway, but yeah, cool.
Yeah, no, dude, the
Awesome.
invitation's absolutely open. I'm about right at 2 hours, maybe less from Gabe. Fantastic herping out there. I've got some cool sandhilly areas here. I have a fantastic road to find very common stuff out here, but they will be in abundance.
Well, yeah, it's all new stuff. So
if you come in the late spring or early summer, we can get you on some eastern mud snakes too.
That's
that'd be cool. Yeah,
that's almost a guarantee near Gabe's neck of the woods.
well, hell yeah.
It was kind of insane. I'm not gonna lie. That blew my mind. Absolutely. Well, with that, we're at nearing the 2.5 hour mark. So we're gonna let everybody get some shut eye and get to work tomorrow morning. Connor, if people want to talk to you about some masticophis herping or even captive keeping, where can they reach you?
Facebook or Instagram, Naturalist Herps there. And if you don't do either of those, I've got email, naturalistherps@gmail.com. All three of those. And I'm pretty active on, I guess, fauna as well, if you use any of those classifieds or whatever. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight, man. This episode was awesome. We're trying to get more into some species specific episodes, so this was a good start to that. We're going to push more towards these and leaning towards some more specified herping. So thank you for really kicking that off for us. This has been another episode of Flippin' 10, episode 24. We're going to be back at you again in another 2 weeks. And until that guest is laid down for sure. But until then, we will keep you all posted. Thank you very much for everybody who tuned into the live stream. And until next time, we'll catch you.